Okay, today we're talking about Module 2, Lesson 11. You should have written down the lesson already and the learning goal in your notebook. Let's turn to it, please. Okay, and today's learning goal is to be able to explain where we put the decimal point in the product when we're multiplying whole numbers and decimals. So we're going to be working on multiplying whole numbers and decimals just like we were yesterday. And by the end of today, you need to be able to explain to a friend, to a stranger, to a sibling, to a mom, to a dad, how do you know where the decimal point goes in the answer of the multiplication problem, okay? So one thing I heard us discussing, and a pattern I think we're noticing, is when I multiply by 10 and then divide by 10, what does that equal?
1.
That equals 1. So does that cancel each other out?
Yeah.
Because multiplication and division are what's called inverse operations. So if I multiply by the same number and then divide by that number, it cancels each other out, doesn't it? So if I have a cow and I make 10 copies of that cow and I divide those 10 copies by 10, what do I end up with? 1 cow. Good. Okay, so along those same lines, what's 3 times 4.1 times 1? Still 12.3. Because I can take my math fact from up here, which is 3 times 4.1 equals 12.3, which is this part. When I multiply something by 1, does it change it at all?
No.
How about this complicated problem? 3 times 4 times 17.6 divided by 17.6. And we know that's 12 because we know this basic math fact, 3 times 4. And then we can see that I'm multiplying by the same factor that I'm dividing by. So that cancels each other out. Do you guys see that? Okay. First, let's estimate to get our zone. Okay? Because if we don't estimate and we end up with like a number, we don't know if that number is even closer. Okay? So we can say that 7.38 is pretty close to what number? It's pretty close to what number, Lakshan?
7.
Sure, it's pretty close to 7. We can say our next factor, 41, is pretty close to what number, Vasisht?
40.
40. So we can use our knowledge of math facts and do 7 times 40 is what?
280.
Okay, so our answer should be in the zone or pretty close to 280. Now, should the real product be greater or less than 280? Let's figure it out. Did we round up or down for the first factor?
Down.
Did we round up or down for the second factor?
Down.
Does that mean that this estimated product will be lower or higher than the real one? Lower. Okay, so our real product should be higher than 280, yes? Okay. So we think in our heads, how can we make both factors whole numbers? Well, if I take this first factor and I move the decimal point 2 places over, does it become a whole number?
Yes.
So in order to move the decimal point 2 places to the right, I'm actually multiplying by what? 10 to move it one time, and then another 10 to move it to a whole number. So how many am I multiplying it by? 10 times 10, which is? 100. So we can think in our head, and I want you to write this down. We can think 7.38 times 100 is 738. Okay, go ahead and write that down in your notebook. Now that we have 2 whole number factors, we can actually just multiply using the standard algorithm. So 738 times 1 is what?
738.
Okay. Now we're going to work at the 10, so I'm going to put a 0. 4 times 8 is? Everyone?
32.
32. We'll write the 2 and regroup the 3, 30. 4 times 3 is? 12 plus 3 is?
15.
Okay, so we'll write the 5 and regroup the 10. 4 times 7 is?
28.
Plus 1 is?
29.
Okay. Now we're ready to add. 8 plus 0 is?
8.
3 plus 2 is?
5.
7 plus 5 is? I'll write the 2 and regroup the 1. 1 plus 9 is?
10.
Write the 0, regroup the 1. 1 plus 2 is?
3.
Okay. Now, let's think back to our estimate. We said that the answer should be pretty close to what number?
282.
Right, our estimate said that the answer should be a little bit larger than 280. Does this answer, 30,258, is that in the zone of 280?
No.
Why not? Did we solve the actual problem? No. We multiplied by 100. We multiplied one of the factors by 100. So how do I undo the fact that I multiplied one of the factors by 100? I need to, Ben?
So you could just move the decimal back 2 spaces since you moved the decimal.
Well, we don't just move decimals because we want to. If I multiply by 100, how do I cancel that out? I need to, Sporty, divide by 100. And as Ben said, in order to do that, we just move the decimal place. How many spaces to the left?
2.
So then my real answer is 302 and 58 hundredths. Now, does that compare better with our estimate? Is it in the zone of our estimate? So are we confident that our answer is reasonable? Good. So again, today we're really thinking about how we turn our factors into whole numbers. For example, in this case, we multiplied by 100, and how we have to undo it. We have to divide by 100 to undo that multiplication we did. Okay?